Hey guys, and welcome back again to Spark Talk Show. I am Chris, the Jersey Man Savage, coming to you live off of Ustream once again, and also, of course, you may be watching on Facebook or YouTube. Sorry, mixing the two up there. Just got up not too long ago. Okay, so today I just wanted to sort of cap on a show that someone had brought up to me. It's old news. It's not new news. It's if anyone saw my other video, you know it's going to be about pretty much Obama, the UN, and their presence in Texas. But again, this was about 10 to 11 months ago. They started their war games over there, and I believe it's over as of now. But a friend of mine had actually brought it up. I did a little looking into it and saw both sides of it, where, you know, the military's claiming it's just for military strategy. Of course, the conspiracy theorists are saying that it's for a martial law takeover. But that's going to vary from person to person. It doesn't really matter, you know. But I also wanted to let you guys know that as far as looking for the house goes and stuff, you know, me and my wife, you know, we're still in the process. A couple of houses that we liked fell through. If anyone's out there that has bought a home, you've been there, you know what it's like. So that's where we're at now. We're looking at a house, but there's apparently the house overnight went from no offers to multiple offers, and, you know, got to love that magic. Is that true, or is that what the banks are just telling us? Who knows? Anyhow, you know, we're going to try to see what we can do as far as getting a home. But let's dive into the topic. I'm not going to get too technical with the details. Like I said, I was looking stuff over. I was going over some, you know, videos and some stuff that I saw online about this. Really isn't that big of a deal. I'm not that concerned about it, to be honest with you. Is there room for concern? You know, President Obama starting to make the UN presence so strongly in the United States all of a sudden. Yeah, I mean, there is room for concern. You know, one of the biggest things that I kept reading and seeing in the videos about was, you know, the UN members that were here. Some of them were American, of course, some of them were not. You know, they were claiming that they were training their soldiers in these war games for overseas wars. You know, my question is this: if that is true, okay, if you really are bringing, you know, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and UN, you know, to a couple states in the United States of America that are close to rural areas, excuse me, why are you saying that you're training them for wars overseas when 95% of the wars overseas end up in deserted areas? I mean, I know there's like desert-like areas in Texas, but wouldn't it have made more sense if they were like out by in Nevada, in the desert out there? If they're training for overseas wars, why are they so close to rural areas in the United States of America if they're training for wars overseas? You know, I mean, it is. There are times when you know, when they're at war over there, that they do go into towns, and I guess their types of or rural areas that they have over there. But it just seemed very weird that they would be, you know, parading the UN armed vehicles, you know, 30 of them at a time down a road going into Texas, you know, and they're just saying that, you know, that's not a normal sight for us here. You know, on occasion, especially around where I live, we're actually not too far from a military base. So, you know, on occasion, there's a time you see a couple of, you know, Humvees going down the road, maybe some big trucks, cargo carrying trucks, you know, military style going down the road. And that's normal. I mean, we expect that. We're near a base. But I'm sorry, when you see the UN rolling in, and then but it's not just that. You know, like one of the reasons why I really wanted to take this topic up, because as of right now, everything I've said, you know, everyone's like, you know, if you're listening to this, it's like, okay, so what's the big deal? The big deal is this. The big deal is when we have the UN, which is a militant force created of many nations that fly under no flag, that operate under no controlling government of a country that has access to every single country coming here, doing their exercises with our military, whatever, blah, blah, blah. With everything else going on in the world, that's really, really scary. That's not something normal. You know what I mean? I mean, that's something that you really have to look at. And then, we have these countries that are really not friendly with the United States, like China. I mean, yeah, we have a trade with them and stuff, but let's face it, China don't like us. Let's be honest. And they're sitting there and they're vouching, when Obama goes on the news and he's like, this is important for our security and we need, more countries to step up to the plate and help out and this and that. Okay. But first of all, out of all the countries, there's only like 2 that aren't allies. You know what I'm saying? Like what? So many countries, 28 countries, 25 of them are allies. What is the threat? I don't understand why liberals go out of their way to take certain things. Now, again, do not think that I am watering this down, but things like ISIS, things like, all the stuff that led up to the Desert Storm, all these little cell groups, all these little deals. Why is it that the liberals, Democratic presidents, always make it seem like we're under this huge threat? Is the threat real? Absolutely. I'm not going to water it down. Like I said, and especially if someone's watching who's lost a family member in the trade centers, the threat's extremely real to you. But think about it this way. It's such a minute and small cell group of a certain type of race compared to the entire world. And the only reason why they seem so big and strong is because we have, I'll be nice here, people like Obama in the seats stripping you of your rights, your liberties, and your freedoms, trying to take your guns away, trying to make you feel inferior, trying to make it seem like you have to wait on the police if something goes wrong. You have to depend on the military. Don't try to defend yourself or you can have, legal ramifications come against you. They are literally trying to rip the spine out of the men of America, the men of the world. They're trying to control us through fear with such a small population of a fragment of a certain group of people that is nothing but a grain of sand compared to the masses of the world. And if we weren't underneath these sadistic leaders that try to instill fear in us, that every time someone sneezes too hard, they're putting it on the news, you never see any good that comes out of anything anymore. Everything's always bad, so you think it's all around you. Now, again, am I trying to water this down? Absolutely not. Is it possible that some whack job could walk into one of my children's school with a bomb strapped on them? Or with a gun in their hand? Absolutely. Now, realistically, what are the chances of that? Very slim. We have these radicalists out there. They exist. I know it. But when our government is using that fear and always saying, oh, well, this is important and this is important for our security and we have to do this and we have to do that, we have to train our soldiers. What I honestly think that they may be doing, if we really take a good look at this, is not just training their soldiers. They're trying to, again, make you numb to their presence. They go on media. They say, don't worry, it's just war games. We're just training our soldiers so that they can fight for you, so that you can continue to get up and go to Starbucks and have your coffee and your so-called freedom that we have today. Okay? But in reality, they show up. It's a shock. What's UN doing here? What are they doing here? What's this war games? Oh, they must be trying to take over Texas. Blah, 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 blah. And all the stuff that we heard 10, 11 months ago and all the way up to present. But then they show up again. No, they're back. And before you know it, we go down. They come down 5 or 6, 10 times. There's another UN truck. Oh well. Are they slowly trying to numb us to their presence, to the point that all of a sudden we're going to have UN all around us, and one day we're going to wake up and go, "How the heck did this happen?" It's like I've said on a lot of my other shows. The government's not stupid. You know, think about it. We have a president and we have a criminal running for president. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Yes, I did. Hillary, running for president, their main goals are to strip us of our Second Amendment rights. Why do you think all of a sudden, combined at once, do we have a position in our military, which is our commanding chief and officer, that is sworn in to uphold both the Constitution and the amendment rights and to protect them, the very ones trying to destroy them, and they're also the ones flying around the world, going to the two nations that harbor terrorists against the United States, shaking hands with them, laughing like they're old friends, and sipping tea. And then we see the UN come in. You know, a lot of people like to cry, conspiracist. And if that's what you want to do, go right ahead. I like to cry stupidity for the people that use the word conspiracist as a way to just, sort of dust it under the rug. You're just a conspiracist. Am I really? I've mentioned this multiple times. What about Watergate? If we didn't have solid proof to that, you would have been like, that's a conspiracy. But it really happened. Not to mention, there's not a single person here watching this show, whether it's live, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whatever it may be. You yourself cannot sit there, look me in the face. You can call my show. The phone number's up here. Go ahead and try to speak your piece that you yourself have not sat there multiple times saying you cannot trust this government. And then you whack jobs sit there and you say, oh, well, Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that. And what are you going to do? Vote in another politician? And you make fun of conspiracists? You really need a wake-up call. We can even take this into biblical terms. You're like the guy that looks in the mirror, turns around, and immediately forgets what you look like. You're double-minded. You don't even know what you want. The only thing you want is another liberal in that seat that is going to continue to hide stuff from you, such as this, why is the UN here? Such as, we'll give you this or we'll give you that. Just so that they can continue to put tentacles of the beast of the federal government into every aspect of your lives so that you grow more and more dependent on them so that they never go anywhere. And then you sit there and you block roads to Donald Trump's events. A guy actually speaking the truth and a guy that the media is blowing everything he says out of proportion because they only give him 30 seconds on stage to speak. If you actually watch his channel or his shows or anything on Facebook, his Trump train or whatever, he actually goes into great detail, a lot more than any other runner right now, as to his political platforms and how he depends on, wants to do it. So you have all these idiots on Facebook going, oh, well, he wants to build a wall. Where's he going to get the money for that? Why don't you try educating yourself instead of just flapping your gums? Look it up, and he'll tell you how he's going to do it. Like I said, he can't go into great detail. He has 30 seconds on stage to say what he wants to say, and then the media blows it all out of proportion. But we're not getting on Trump right now. Basically, it really is this. Could it be a conspiracy theory? Could it just be some, overactive imagination as to why the UN rolled in 11 to 10 months ago, started having these war games? Are they really just training for war overseas? Is it a possibility? Absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. Do I find it strange that they're doing it on American soil? Not fully, but the choices of where they were on American soil? Absolutely. Like I said, if they were out in Nevada, in the heart of the desert, who cares? We have to train our military somehow. But if we're training our military, why is the UN involved? Why is the UN here? Why is President Obama seen for like 15 seconds a good while back shaking hands with the leader of the UN? And then walking away and pretty much giving full range into the UN being here. I mean, you don't have to be a conspiracist to see this stuff. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to try to make sense of this stuff. It's really simple. We live in a time where, and I know people are getting really sick of this. They're really getting sick of hearing that Obama is, trying to take over the world, that he's going to try to do away with the 22nd Amendment, and he's going to try to stay president a third term and this and that. Honestly, you know what? Obama's got some supporters still, but to be quite honest with you, I really don't see him winning this election. And, again, I don't mean to hit on Trump again, but Trump is awakening a sleeping giant. And what that giant is, it is the voting community that does not vote. The people that just do not want to see a politician in that seat. And those numbers way outweigh any liberals any day. There's a lot of liberals that vote. First of all, there's a lot more conservatives in the United States than there are liberals. Liberals are just the majority of the voting class because they get stuff from the government. They're teachers. They want their pension. They're elderly. They want to be taken care of. But again, what the teachers and the elderly and all these people don't understand is that if they weren't taxing the bejesus out of you, guess what? You wouldn't need their help. You wouldn't need their Medicare. You wouldn't need their pensions. You wouldn't need all this stuff. Why? Because you could afford it yourself. Liberals are very narrow-minded. I have come to see. I have watched many news deals or where reporters go out and they start asking, or even like local news feeds. I love local news feeds a lot better because they're not up to big media agendas and they just go out and they just report. And one of the best ones I actually watch is like college feeds. They talk about these things like the UN presence in Texas, and they'll go on and they get honest opinions. But one of the best ones is when they go up to like Hillary Clinton supporters, and they're like, oh, what do you think of her idea on this? What do you think of her idea on this? And they're like, oh, we love it. We support it. We'll back that up 100%. And they're like, well, actually, everything I just told you was Trump's ideas, and she's against it. And then they look like idiots on camera. It's like liberals today, the way they vote, they see a face and they just go, she's a woman, I'm going to vote for her. Well, what do you think of her idea on this? I love it. Well, it's not her idea. It's not? Well, of course not. It's actually proven through polls and stuff that, well, not just polls, but questionnaires, that, those that actually vote outside of Democrats pay more attention to all the candidates. It's like liberals, they just see the blue tie and they're like, I'm just going to go with whoever's on over here. I have known conservatives that have voted Republican, Democrat, whatever. Whoever they truly feel is going to do the right job. But it always seems like Democrats only vote Democrat. Like blind sheep being led to the slaughter. Are all Democrats bad? No. But the one thing that I do know is our economy is the way that it is because of the Democrats, because they're the ones that believe in big government. So that's a lot of pensions and salaries that you have to pay for out of your pocket. Where Republicans believe in smaller government. They believe in taking care of businesses because that helps economy and gives jobs. Where Democrats just want to be able to give you everything. Which costs money. So then therefore taxes go up. But anyhow, like I said, so are we truly concerned about the UN presence here? Because like this is an older subject, and again, the only reason why I'm really bringing this up is because it was brought to my attention. I started looking into it, and I got to be honest with you, this is how oblivious I was to this before I actually started researching into it. I didn't even know. So that is a concern for me right there. And that's something that maybe you need to ask yourself. If all the UN presence here in the United States really was just a military drill where they just wanted to come in, train the military, get our guys used to working with, other countries' soldiers from the UN. You have China saying we'll give 8,000 more guys. First of all, China hates us, so why in the world would we want them over here helping us? That's kind of scary. But even if that was the case, why wasn't it completely media fed? You know, even when you go on Google and you start looking this up, there's a couple of little feeds here and there, you know, maybe like 2 videos and a couple of little things that you could actually read in on this. Why wasn't it so blown out of proportion that every single person in America knew that UN vehicles were being seen driving down Central America? Well, not Central America, North America, but through the central part of North America, straight into Texas, where they were having these war games. And if it was on the news, it was like a 2-second clip. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did it seem to me, after doing the research, that it was sort of blown over? Like, hey, UN's here, but now let's get back to this. You know, like, it's not really. If it's and a lot of people go, oh, well, that's because it was, you know, Obama said it was just this, or Obama said it was just that, and that's fine. But who in this country trusts our president and government anyhow? That we're just going to listen to Obama, oh, it's just this or it's just that. Yeah, because like every single person watching this broadcast right now does not know that our government and Obama are full of it. You know? But like I said, I'm not really going to go getting into like the whole conspiracy part of it. I like to try to keep an open mind. You know, there's just a lot of speculation going on out there. I really didn't see anything in there worth reporting on facts. That's why I'm just sort of winging this one, to be honest with you. Because, like I said, it's really at a point right now that it is, and this is sad, I hate this saying, especially when we're talking about our country, but it really is sort of just is what it is. You know, yeah, they came in, they did their thing, they're back. Or they did their thing, they left. Are they coming back? Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, is it just a tactic of the government to numb us down to seeing the presence of the UN in the United States for a possible martial law takeover? It's possible. You know, one of the things that I did come across when I was doing this research, and I don't really know if I believe this. Is it a possibility? Absolutely it is. It's without a doubt a possibility. Is it something that I would worry too much about? No. Be honest with you, I really don't think it's that, you know, our situation is that sadistic. But, you know, there was this one thing that I was watching on, you know, Obama, the UN, that did sort of bring up a interesting factor. That, you know, they did show a lot of clips of times when Obama was talking and sort of made it sound like he wasn't going to give up the presidency. You know, that he was trying to find loopholes or ways around the 22nd Amendment, which actually limits the time that one can be a president. And, you know, like I said, I don't believe this. I really don't. But one of the reporters was like, you know, all it would take as of right now is for something to happen in the United States, for us to go to war, for some type of civil war, anything along those lines, for him to use executive order to be able to cancel out the next election. And in doing so, he would become, in their words, not mine, I just want to say that, in doing so, he would pretty much become like King of America. Do I believe that's going to happen? Until I see his face on TV and he's, you know, doing the whole executive order, I'm canceling the next election. No. I really don't think that's going to happen. You know, the president is a very powerful man. But even the president answers to people. You know, he has his higher-ups. That's why we have a three-ring circus of a government. They all keep each other in check. It would have to be such extreme situations for him to be able to do such a thing that it's, like I said, we would literally have to be full-blown in war, or there would have to be a full-blown civil uprising war for him to be able to do such things. So, do I see that happening? No. But that was one of their cases with the UN. Now, you can make your own decision on this. And I also just want to say, you know, I have the phone number and all up there, 609-837-7775. The phone line is up and running. If you want to call and comment on this, please go ahead and do so. But yeah, you know, I really don't believe that Obama's really going to try to do this. I don't see him. To be honest with you, I mean, look at the man's hair; it's gray. He wants to get out of the White House and go live the rest of his life somewhere. I don't know. He's not. Well, then again, no president ages well. do the before and after pictures of presidents of the United States? My God, sometimes you're surprised they're even standing. But is it possible? Could he do it? Absolutely. He has shown his own. I don't even know how to put that. Really, his own sense of kingship, if you will, into all the executive orders that he's done. I mean, he's by far the one president that I can remember that's passed so many executive orders. It's ridiculous, and that's one of the things that I can't wait to see Trump do if he wins presidency and gets in there, because he said he's going to use his executive order to reverse them all. Thank God. It's ridiculous when we give that kind of power to one man. But then again, like I said, and I've said this on many other shows, the president really is just a poster boy. I'm not racist whatsoever. I have a lot of different races of friends, so don't think I'm racist. But let's be honest, he first got that seat because he's a minority. Let's just be honest. He's a Democrat, and he was the first black president. That's why Hillary is as strong as she is, because she's a woman. And there's people out there that are actually dumb enough, or should I say retarded enough, to vote for her just because she's a she. Like, a woman's going to make better decisions being their side's poster boy or girl. She's going to do exactly what all the other presidents have done. And that is to do what her higher-ups tell her to do. She may hold a title, but our federal government doesn't even own the United States. Big banks do. Could you imagine if the big banks decided to foreclose on the United States? They would own us. It's ridiculous. So for you to sit there and I've seen it. I've seen people go, oh, well, it's about time that a woman, gets a shot at the president. Why? There's times when you need more of a sensitive hand in situations, but to be the president, I'm sorry, but you need testosterone. Because this whole hippie way is going to be what kills us. You need times where a man's going to, put his fist to the table and say, do it. Where a woman's going to go, we should really talk about it. Ma'am, they're outside with bombs. I can talk to them. No, you can't. You really need to go to action. No talking. But anyhow, but yeah, like I was saying about the UN, don't get too concerned about it. Like I said, a lot of stuff that I looked into it. There was even one that sort of went out into way left field. I wasn't even sure if I was going to bring this up, but they were really trying to pick apart the name of the exercise that they were doing, which was actually called the Jade Helm 15. All right, Jade Helm 15. They started picking this apart. They're like, okay, what could this possibly mean? Jade, that's like a greenish bluish, color. So like blue, and then helm, what I think they said like Germany, that means helmet. So Jade Helm, or it's also a comic. But the whole thing is so they were saying, okay, so blue helmet, UN. That's just, to me, people's imaginations getting way out of control. I don't know how you think about it, but that's what I think about it. And then there was actually a more, I don't want to say interesting, but a more in-depth detail as to what this whole Jade Helm thing could actually be. There's actually a military-style artificial intelligence programming, like a software or hardware, or however they're running it, that's actually called J2. Jade 2, sorry. And basically what this is I'm going to try to put in just in a way, because I don't want to get too technical with this. I was really looking into this because it did make sense, and I know this stuff is out there. But I'm just going to put it into layman's terms. This Jade 2 is technically something that is sort of like Skynet from Terminator. basically what it is, it's like a software. It's like it has its own servers and everything, and it's actually a artificial intelligence that is connected to absolutely everything that they are saying that can determine, stress levels, blah blah blah, everything, to be able to determine if someone or a group of someone's could be a threat before they actually become one. Going through like I guess audio and video. There's cameras everywhere, but so basically one of the biggest fears from the UN being here that I can sort of see. This one actually made more sense to me out of everything. Was the UN is they're trying to soften our effect towards seeing the UN on American soil by having them here. They had them here. They did the war games. Okay, everything's fine. Then they'll come back and we'll get worried again, and everything will be fine again. And then they'll be back 5 or 6 times, and we start getting numb to it, and we're like, they're just here, whatever. Hey guys, come have a burger. Next thing you know, we're in a situation we don't want to be because the government's not stupid, and they don't just walk in and go, we're here. They ease things in. So, but anyhow, what these guys are technically trying to say is that, that our government is using this software, and that at the time that if they were to use martial law at a certain point, say there's an uprising, say you want to see an uprising in America, let Hillary get that seat. Let her try to go after people's guns and stuff. You'll see an uprising. Well, if that should happen, because one of the reports actually did say that the UN is here training with the military and stuff like that and getting used to our land so that when Hillary does get her seat and she tries to enforce her unconstitutional ways of trying to take away her Second Amendments and stuff and try to take away her guns and enforce certain laws that go against the very fundamental foundations of this nation, that they will be here to enforce it. Do I believe that? I would like not to. Is it a possibility? Sadly, yes. I don't put anything past our government these days. So if this is true, and then they have this software, this Jade 2 software that can, like I said, pretty much be like Skynet. Use the internet, any type of technology, your cell phone. They can use your cell phone. They can use traffic light cams, you name it, to track, monitor voice, visual effects on people. And this artificial intelligence that actually has a chip that's named the brain of the artificial intelligence, okay, can actually read eye dilation, how your body's reacting, what your voice sounds like, what you're actually saying, actually understand conversations, not just record, but understand what you're saying on the phone at all times, can actually pinpoint your location in a matter of God knows when, and you could have these pretty white trucks pull up with the UN inside, armed to the gills, ready to take you to one of their facilities. Like I said, I don't want to believe that's the case. I have not gone that far into that. I myself, I do not trust the government. I don't trust a stinking word a politician says, no matter how much I may like or dislike them. Doesn't matter. I like Chris Christie. Do I trust everything he says? Absolutely not. I'm not an idiot. Because although he's done a lot for this state, and the only people that really don't like him are the ones that are in public work, because the state is so overran thanks to people like Steve Sweeney with state workers sucking up our taxpayers' dollars that they keep having to jack ours up. A lot of people in public works don't like him. People in private sectors love him. Why? Because he's taking care of the New Jersey people. But again, unfortunately, public workers are the majority of the voting community. But anyhow, like I was saying, I really don't know what to think about that. Is it a possibility? Yes. I'm going to say it again. It's absolutely a possibility. Could that be the goal of the government? Absolutely. Is it something that is a realistic, possible, nearby future? Absolutely. And if you don't see that, then you have absolutely no foresight whatsoever. Do I believe that's what's going to happen? Like I said, I would like not to. And I'm not going to say yes, and I'm not going to say no. Because who knows? You just got to sort of live your day by day, Do I trust our government? Absolutely not. Do you trust the government? Seriously? Just because a woman might become president, does that make you feel cozier at night when you're going to bed? I mean, seriously, like, do you trust them? Because it is scary and please, just take it with a grain of salt. Don't be argumentative with me. Just listen to what I'm saying. We have a president trying to take your Constitution and your amendment rights away from you. And you can't argue that. You cannot argue that. Because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be going after law-abiding citizens and making more gun laws and such as that. He would be using the existing gun laws, the existing federal gun laws today. And if you're not aware of them, educate yourself. Go on Google and look them up before you go, oh, there's no gun laws. Yeah, there's plenty of gun laws. Trust me. But he would not be making more gun laws that tighten it on law-abiding citizens that pay their taxes and do the right thing. They would only be making laws that punish criminals for doing wrong. Period. What right does our government, local or federal, have to make laws that punish or restrict law-abiding citizens? They should have none. Have you forgotten that the Constitution and the Amendment rights gives you authority over the president himself? They have to do what we say. The problem is that the American people have gotten so apathetic, so blind, that the president and the local and federal governments do what they want to do on a daily basis because you sit there and go, hey, as long as it doesn't affect my life. Well, it is. You're just being stupid and not seeing it. It's affecting your wallet, dude. It's affecting the future of your kids. I want free healthcare. I want free education. Great. Where's that money going to come from? Your kids aren't going to be able to buy houses. Wake up. But do I trust them? Absolutely not. Do I see what this one reporter was saying? Absolutely. Could it be that Hillary Clinton gets into presidency, starts to enforce and try to take away and demolish our Second Amendment, our First Amendment, because our First Amendment, thanks to political correctness, is almost shot. You can't just say what's on your mind, although I do. I don't care. I don't follow political correctness. That's not my religion. All political correctness is a bunch of guidelines and rules that you choose to live your life by, just like any other religion. You choose to live by the rule, I can't offend anybody. I can't do this. I can't do it's a religion. That's all it is. It's not a law. You can't get arrested for not being politically correct. Maybe one day, but not today. But can she get in that seat? Absolutely. Can she start to try to take these stuffs away through executive order with Obama, her buddy, being elbow to elbow with her? Absolutely. Could they be using the UN's presence here, a little here, a little there, to numb us to the fact that when we start rising up against it, that the UN is here? Because one of the biggest reports that I was able to read was why would our government, get this, now this is something you might find interesting about the UN being here. And this is a question you can actually try to answer before I get the answer. Why would our government have the UN here? Do you know? Does not our federal government have a military? Why is the UN here? We have the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Why do they need to bring the UN here? Simple. If the leader of the UN, which flies under no flag, which is bound by no country's laws, is buddy-buddy with the liberals that sit in the seat of presidency, Obama, Hillary, so on and so forth, and they tried to do exactly all the things that I just named. Do you really think that those who swore in our active military, as of today, would turn on their own people? Absolutely not. They are sworn to uphold and protect the people of the United States of America against all terrorism, foreign and domestic. That can be our government. That is why our forefathers gave us the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, the very first meeting that the framers and the Federalists, the Anti-Federalists, our forefathers, their argument wasn't should every able man be armed. That was a given. Their argument was should America have a standing army for this very reason. They did not trust the federal government not to turn on its own people and to try to use the army against it. But if you have someone serving, your son, your husband, your brother, your wife, your sister, God bless the men and women of our military. Do you really believe that they would turn on you? No. So I ask you again, why is the UN getting involved here all of a sudden? Because when our government tries to do exactly what we all see, anyone who actually has some type of hindsight or foresight, excuse me. Anyone has any foresight, and to see where this country is going, to see the truth behind it, and not just be oblivious and be one of those, whatever, and just want to live day by day until you turn into nothing and die. But, for those of us that can see it, when they try to come against us, there will be sects of our army that will turn against them. That is why the UN is here. This is why they're gathering UN soldiers from China, from I'm not even going to list them all, from all over the world. Even China is saying, we'll give you 8,000 to start. Because they know the American soldiers will not turn on their own families. So when they do start to enforce this, and we start to rise up into another, civil war, which I already foresee happening. Another civil war where the true spirit of the American people rise up to their government and say no. And the government goes, what do you mean no? You've been saying yes all this time. We're in power. You're not. And we go, no. And then they go, oh, really? When this starts to happen and the Civil War starts to rise up again, there will be groups of our standing military that back up the people and start fighting against the government, which in turn will bring the UN in to fight them back. Which will turn into the Third World War. Am I crazy? Could be. My wife thinks so. Or am I right? You cannot ignore the presence of the UN in the United States. You can't ignore it. You can't say we can trust the government. You can't do any of this stuff. We all know that the government just tries to give us everything that we want, or healthcare, or this and that, just so that you grow reliant on them. Because if they can say, we'll offer you healthcare every election, we'll up with this towards healthcare. Oh, you're going to vote for them then. They're buying your votes. They're buying your votes. But what you don't realize is with every little so-called free thing the government gives you, you have to pay for it. If you weren't paying for it, you wouldn't need it free. You could afford it yourself and live a lot better life. We were never supposed to have a government like this. And what is it, an eminent domain where the government can come in at any time and take your land? First of all, federal government has no land. That's the biggest joke of it all. Read your Constitution for you uneducated people that sit there and say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, really? What land does the government own? What land does the federal government own? Tell me. Because constitutionally, if you actually took time to read it and educate yourself instead of just thinking you know what you're talking about, the federal government is only given 10 acres of land for their capital, which is in Washington, D.C., and ports and military bases. But here's the catch to the ports and military bases. If a port and military base is in New Jersey, we have a few here, they can only be there by the permission of the people. And if at any time the majority of the people turn around and say, you got to get your military base out of here, they have to do it by the Constitution. The federal government owns no rights to the lands except for 10 acres for their capital, which is in Washington, D.C. They don't even own the rights to the land where their ports and their military bases are, because at any given time that state can turn around and say, get out of our state, we don't want you here, and they have to listen to it according to the Constitution. You know, our forefathers did a very good job of crossing their I's and dotting their T's to make sure that we, the people, would stay in control of our government. And today, especially with the millenniums, you guys are doing a very good job of giving up all your rights and freedoms just so that you get a little bit more slice of your pie. Benjamin Franklin was a genius. You know, he said anyone who gave up a little bit of freedom for a little bit of security deserves none. He was right. You don't deserve it. Because what's going to happen is it may not be the way that the conspiracists are looking at the UN being in Texas. But one day something's going to happen. Your little world is just going to go away. It's not going to be peachy like this all the time. If you're religious, it's written in the Bible. You know, if you're a realist, it's written everywhere. Every time you turn a corner, it's there. There is going to be something. You cannot take, listen to me, you cannot take over 300 million people, cram them in an area, the United States, okay, and expect everything to stay peachy all the time. We learned with the market crashing, your life can be turned upside down like that. And that's just the market crashing. It's a man-made system that banks walked away with your money. Tell me it wasn't done purposely. Oh, that was an accident. No one saw that coming. No, people saw it coming. Just wasn't you. You know? But yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what side you vote for. We have serious issues coming up. Anytime you start seeing the UN trucks in force, fully loaded and armored, rolling down the streets of America, whether it be in Texas, whether it be in New Jersey, whether it be in California, I don't care where it's at, you're in trouble. Something's coming. There's a reason why they're here, and it's not just war games. They could do war games on a remote island somewhere. They could do war games overseas. If they're claiming they're training our people for war overseas, why are they not overseas? You know? If you're training to be a lawyer in New Jersey, you don't learn about that down in Florida. You come up here and you start doing it here. You know what I mean? Why would they start putting them? And like I said, even if they were trying to train them for overseas war, 95% of overseas war happened in deserts. Why weren't they in Nirvana, in the heart of the desert where nobody saw them? Why are they parading through towns of Texas? Rural areas. Are there times that our people, you know, our soldiers overseas end up going into towns and such? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the actual fighting, the actual wars normally happen in deserted areas. We try to keep casualties to a minimum. Civilian casualties. So why are they parading our people through Texas saying it's just a military training for overseas? Well, then take your people overseas. Look, out of all the countries, we are allies with the majority of them. There's only a couple we're not. Take them over to one of the remote areas where we fought war. Take them over to where we had the Desert Storm. There's nothing but desert over there. That'll really give our new soldiers the experience they need. They have to get on a plane. They have to fly over there. They have to learn how to do everything over there, survive over there. They get to actually learn the culture. How are you going to have all of our military and the UN come to the United States and say, oh, we're training for over there? And the sad part is you have the people that'll sit there and listen to that and go, okay, I believe it. Yeah, because I can trust them. That is just so sad. But again, I'm going to give the phone number. I have about 10 more minutes, guys. It's 609-837-7775. If you want to call in real quick and comment, if you're watching, please feel free. Let me know what you think. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, comment. Let me know what you think. You know, why do you think the UN was here about 10 or 11 months ago? What was your outtake on this whole Jade Helm 15 project deal that Obama had going? You know, do you trust Obama? Do you trust Hillary? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you actually believe that these people are seriously looking out for our well-being? Because Obama was saying, you know, oh, the UN's going to be here, we're going to be doing this, and we need this for the security of our country, and blah, 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 and this and that. But what is he talking about? We're secure. Can something happen? Can someone come in here and do something? Yeah, that's everywhere. You know, there's an old saying, locks on a door only keep the innocent people out. There's always going to be isolated incidents in the country, in the world, that are going to happen. But dude, this is America. You know, a tragedy is tragedy. Any type of bombing, shooting, absolutely horrible. When a criminal takes a life. But even if we steal Trump's idea and we put a wall all the way around the country, it's still going to happen. You know, these bombs are still going to go off. You can make guns illegal. They'll go back to like the 60s making zip guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll take a tire iron and beat your head in. Are you going to tell Home Depot not to sell tire irons? Just stop. The best way to ward off anybody from doing harm is to arm the people. Not bring in the UN. But again, keep that in mind. They're trying to take your guns away. They're trying to take the Second Amendment away. They're making it harder and harder for law-abiding, good people to get guns, to get ammunition. And then we start seeing the UN here. And the government sits there and laughs. Obama sits there and you know what? I'm sorry, that ticks me off. Obama will go on on the news, press conference. That's the word I was searching for. On a press conference, and he'll start laughing. These guys, you know, these conspiracists, they think I have an agenda. He does. You're going to sit there and tell me, whoever you are, even if you voted for this dude, you believe that he has your best interest at heart? No. His best interest is pleasing his higher-ups, hitting back all the people that got him in the position where he's in now, all the big unions, the big banks, and all this and that. You know what I'm saying? To make you more reliant on his side of the pendulum so that Democrats keep getting the seats, so they can keep doing this stuff. Why do you think the Republicans are against Trump? Why? Never before has the Republicans had such a strong forerunner. Why are they against Trump? Because he's not a politician. It has nothing to do. He's not racist. If you think he's racist, you're wrong. He's not racist. He's not anything the media tells him. It makes him out to be. Okay? The media can make you look bad if they want to, and you'd be sitting there going, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. Same thing. Okay? But the reason why the Republicans are even against him, because he's not a politician. At this point, get this, at this point, the GOP would rather see Hillary take that seat than someone on their own side. Why? Because if Trump gets in there, he's like you, he's like me. He is just an American dude that's going to go in there and start giving America back to the people. And neither side wants that. Even if Hillary gets in that seat, or you feel the burn and he gets in that seat, okay? Either way, as long as a politician is in that seat, whether it be Democrat or Republican, the Republicans, those who live off your tax dollars. Wouldn't it be nice to have a president in the seat that does not live off your tax dollars? A person that sucks you dry of every penny that they can possibly get out of you. As long as one of them are in that seat, whatever side, doesn't matter, life goes on for them. You put Trump in that seat, life gets very bad for politicians. Because he has no kickbacks to any banks, any big unions, nothing. He gets in the seat, and he does what is needed to be done, that his advisors will tell him needs to be done, according to the Constitution and the amendment rights of this country, which is how our forefathers wanted it to run to begin with. Everyone says he's a racist because he wants to put up a wall. He wants to defend your children, instead of just opening the borders to anyone that can come over and kill them. Wake up. He wants to return jobs to the American people instead of illegals coming over here and taking the jobs while you sit there and watch your children struggle to get a job doing whatever. Why are you so oblivious to this that you don't see that? And do you think, really, that Trump would be allowing the UN just to come rolling up in here practically in any time that they want, doing their little games? Look, if we went to war, say with China or whatever, and the UN wants to back us up, awesome. You know what I'm saying? If you want to help us out, allies are always needed. But the way that this country is going, with the way that the politicians are running it, and then seeing the presence of the UN in here, that doesn't seem friendly to me. They're trying to take away our Constitution. They're trying to take away our amendment rights. They want our guns. And then we see the UN here. Why? It's like a puzzle. Start putting them together. You'll start to see the picture. But anyhow, guys, I know this show was maybe a little choppy. I tried to hit, all my areas. Started going off into, different aspects of it a little much. I tried to keep reining myself back in, but I want to thank you for watching. Please comment. Let me know what you think. And like I said, I know that this is not a new topic. I know the UN was here, probably about 10, 11 months ago, almost a year. But it was brought up to me by a friend. I did want to hit it up, especially after reading into it. I wanted to, sort of try to debunk some of the extremely whacked out conspiracy ideas. But I also wanted to shed a little light on the truth of the situation. This is a very real situation here. And I know you have the optimistic people out there that are always going to be like, oh, you're just overthinking things. No, look, you keep saying that. Look at history. Look at everything. Look at look at all the lies of the government. Even Obama, the guy that you hold so dear and high on an altar, everything he's done has made it worse. He's promised even with the Obamacare that, you wouldn't have to change your primary. You wouldn't have to do this and all this and that. And as soon as it went through, dude, there were people that worked their butts off, through their life, terminally ill, that lost their insurance coverage or lost their doctors that they've been dealing with for years so that you could live off the work of the backs of the American people and have your coverage. And now you get penalized for not having coverage, which was one of the promises that he told us would not happen. They're liars. Obama's a liar. And every time I see him up on that podium and he's laughing, I want to smack him. Stop laughing. Because he's laughing at us for being stupid enough to listen to him. But anyhow, I hope you guys keep an eye out. Like I said, don't live in paranoia. Don't live in fear. I don't want to see anybody live in fear. I don't live in fear. But there's a difference of living in fear and living in awareness. Do not live in fear, but be prepared. This country is headed towards some very bad times. And it's not just the country, it's going to be the world. We hear about the bombings overseas and stuff, and, with the UN's presence now officially in every corner of the world, it's kind of scary. The UN could literally take over. Will they? Who knows? Could they? Yeah. They got the manpower. They got X amount of soldiers from every single country in the world that are under one, under the guy that runs the UN. I mean, it's kind of scary when you think about it. But yeah, anyhow, guys, just do a little research. Like I said, don't live in fear. And especially in this day and age, you know what? I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. Go out and buy a gun. Just do it. I mean, protect yourselves. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what the government says. You have a God-given right to defend you and your own. And in this day and age, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. It could be conspiracy. Nothing could happen. But one thing's for sure, we're never going to see peace on this earth. It's a nice thought. It's never going to happen. They're just better at hiding it. They're better at making you think that there's going to be peace or that there is peace. We're not even free anymore. We're so controlled by our government, we don't even see it. There's more countries out there that have more freedom than we do, and we're America. Because you keep trading away your freedoms, your rights, and your liberties for little pieces of pie. My pension, my health care, my education. Dude, stop before it's too late. But guys, you have a good one. Thank you for holding in there and listening to me on this. Like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to post your opinions on it. If you have any ideas for a show, I'm always taking ideas such as this one, such as the one that I did for my mother-in-law, the mass exodus of New Jersey. I will be more than happy to do your idea. If you want me to do research into it, let me know. If you want me just to wing it like I sort of did this one, let me know. Sometimes I bring up research, but usually I just like to talk because my main goal is just to get people to call in. And I don't want people to think that I over-educated myself in something. I just want a conversation, you know. So, yeah, and take the number down, 609-837-7775. If you're ever watching me on the Ustream app on your phone, you can still call in. I can still get you on the line. Just have my number with you. And hopefully I'll be seeing and hearing from you guys soon. I'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your weekend. And stay safe, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.